Hi everyone, it's Headley here. And today's video is a little different to my usual videos because I am behind the camera and I'm wanting to invite you to join me on a bushwalk that I took earlier this week. It's a walk that I did not plan on taking. It's a walk I didn't even know existed, and I had no intention of filming it or turning it into a video. It was only after I finished my walk that I realized why that was, because this walk was such a beautiful experience of I am in reality, because this really magical, surprising thing happened while I was on my walk, which I was able to film and show you and share it with you. So that's what we're doing today. I hope you'll join me. The land we are walking on today is sacred land, and I want to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians and owners of this land, the Arakwal people of the Bundjalung Nation. I recognize their continuing connections to the land, waters, and cultures, and I pay my deepest respects to elders past, present, and emerging. The Arakwal National Park is located in Cavan Bar, which is otherwise known as Byron Bay, and it is the first national park to be co-managed with Aboriginal traditional owners following a 2001 agreement, and it preserves 185 hectares of coastal heath and dunes, protecting threatened species and providing a very peaceful ecological sanctuary. And there is evidence to suggest that Aboriginal people have been living here on this landscape for over 22,000 years. So as I said in the introduction, I had no idea that I was going on this walk, and I did not know this walk existed, and I had no intention of filming. All of this just happened very organically and intuitively, and it was only after I finished my walk that I realized why. The other day, I just needed to go for a walk and ground myself, so I drove into Byron, and I had the intention of doing the lighthouse walk. But as I got there, it was almost impossible to find a park. It was so crowded, and I was just driving around looking for a park thinking, I don't even want to be doing this. So I actually was turning around and about to drive home when I took a left turn and headed on to the other side of Byron, which I never go to. As I was driving down one particular road, I saw out to my right the beginning of a bush trail. And all of a sudden, there was a park right under a tree, right next to the trail, which is always a good sign. And I was thinking, okay, perfect. This is the walk I'm meant to do. And it absolutely was, because the most beautiful, surprising, unexpected thing happened, which is why I wanted to share it with you. But before I do that, I also wanted to share a bit more of the context as to why I'm finding myself drawn to being outside in nature more and more these days. I shared it earlier this year, thanks to my work with I Am, and thanks to my home story. And I do say thank you now because I understand why it was all happening. But I have come into the awareness of how my ancestors came to be here in this country and how I came to be here in this country and on this land. And it's not a pretty story by any measure. In fact, my ancestors, who were instrumental in the exploration of Australia and the colonization of Australia, committed large-scale atrocities against First Nation people over a 2-decade period. The crimes they committed are extensive, they are horrific, and this is a story that has never been acknowledged. I, being the one who is coming into awareness of this story, feel a responsibility to the telling of the truth of this story. So I am in the process of writing a book. And in that process, I have been doing an incredible amount of research. And the more research I do, the worse this story gets. So I'm finding myself going out for more and more walks just to help me process the energy of what is being brought up. And that is why this particular walk was so amazing, because of what happened once I got into the bush. And that's what I want to share with you now. So as you can see here, I am now deep in the bush. I am on my own. Dora is at doggy daycare today, so it's just me. And all I had was my phone. But I just kept moving forward and feeling as if I was being pulled deeper and deeper into the bush. And I could kind of feel myself moving into an area that I didn't know where to go. Now, it's probably around right here where everything shifted, and I am now completely in communication with the environment. So all of my senses are switched on, and I'm now listening to the environment with my whole being. And I'm feeling into my body, and I'm starting to get a bit scared here. And at this point, I really tune into my I am work. So I start neutralizing and I start repeating, I'm safe, I'm unsafe, I'm choosing, I'm safe, I am safe. And I just keep repeating that because I know if I start affirming that I'm safe over this feeling of unsafety, I'm just going to make it worse. Now, as you can see, I quickly turn around and just run out of there and start heading back in the direction from where I came. But at the same time, I'm also feeling like I'm not ready to go back yet. So I'm hyper aware at this point, and I feel like I'm in communication with the environment. I'm not thinking about anything else, and I'm just looking and listening to everything, and every sound, every movement becomes very significant and very symbolic. Now I'm sensing something, but I'm not sure what it is at this point. So I'm just listening at this point. As you can see, I'm really tuned in, trying to figure out what is the environment trying to tell me? What's the message it's wanting me to hear? I could feel it wanting to tell me something and talk to me, but I just couldn't figure it out. And then I come to a standstill. I can feel the environment trying to get my attention. I can feel it pulling me off to my left. And then I start moving closer towards it. At this point, I'm completely being led by my body. So I'm really allowing my body to move me rather than my head. I'm no longer thinking, where am I? What am I doing? I'm just feeling into everything, and I'm hyper aware of everything. So suddenly every bird sound means something. Suddenly every movement means something. Now, as I come into this particular area, one thing that I notice is that everything becomes completely still. It's like a freeze frame. And then in the distance, in the stillness, I can see there's a branch, like a vine, swinging from side to side. As soon as I put the camera onto it, it actually stopped swinging. But I just stayed there and I stayed with it. And eventually it actually started moving again. Now, there wasn't any wind. And as I gave this vine my attention, the trees around it started to kind of shake as well and started to move. And I felt like they were trying to get my attention. Like I felt as if they were calling me forward. It feels like this vine is significant. As you can hear, the sounds of the birds became really loud. It was as if someone turned the volume up. And it was as if the birds were saying, "Ring the bell, ring the bell." I put my hand on the vine and I looked up and it was like a church bell. And I started pulling on this vine. And as I started pulling on the vine, it was as if I was ringing a big church bell. I could hear the sound of the bell and it felt like I was being invited into a living room. Now, at this point, I stopped filming because I'm now completely in the experience. So the footage that I'm showing you was the footage that I took after I was finished, but I was invited to come into this area which felt like a living room, and then I just sat down on the ground and I could feel the environment, the whole environment just completely wrap its arms around me. It was so amazing. And it was in that moment I realized that I was taking a bush bath, which blew my mind because I've never taken a bush bath before. I had no intention of doing that. So to find myself in the middle of the bush having a bush bath, I was like, wow, this is exactly what I needed. I didn't know it, but this is exactly what I needed. And it was the country that moved me into this experience. It didn't come from me thinking of having this experience. It was really unique. I was probably here for about half an hour, and once it was complete, I said thank you to the land. I was so grateful. I was absolutely overwhelmed with gratitude because, again, I was just going for a walk. I had no plan. I didn't know that any of this would be happening, and it was just exactly what I needed. I felt so much lighter. I felt as if I'd had a bath. I thanked the earth. I thanked the vine. I thanked everything. I thanked country. And I just started heading back on the path. It's really bright. So that is my bushwalk and my bush bath, which I did not know I would be having, but I'm so grateful that I did because it really was exactly what I needed. And the reason that I wanted to share that with you is because there is so much going on in the world, and we can tend to hold that energy in our body. If we're not doing anything with that energy, if we're not transmuting it, then that can build up and we have blowouts or meltdowns, or it can manifest into other things. And so as best you can, you want to keep the energy moving through your body. One of the greatest gifts we have to help us move through difficult times is the earth. Letting nature transmute that energy. But in order for that to happen, we have to connect to it. So if you have the opportunity to connect with nature, you don't have to live by the bush or the forest or anything. You can find a park or just a green space where you can connect. It's just a wonderful experience. Let it see where it will take you, because wherever it takes you, it will absolutely be the right place and it will be exactly what you needed. So thank you for joining me on my bushwalk. I would love to do more of these, so let me know what you think. Have a wonderful, wonderful, connected, beautiful week. Remember to stay in I am. Thank you for your presence here. Thank you for doing this work, and I will look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.